Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to another movie review. And now taking a little bit off from the family entertainment, and I'm reviewing a really, to me personally, I think it's a really good suspenseful thriller film, And the film, I don't think this is another film that a lot of people don't talk about as much. Pretty much and I think it's a really another film with a great performance by Gene Hackman. Because Gene Hackman, I think Gene Hackman. He's a fantastic actor. I always enjoy Gene Hackman. I love him in the Poseidon Adventure. And the French Connection. I liked him in the French Connection, but the film overall wasn't not the die hard of a fan of the French Connection, but I do like Gene Hackman in the film, and also Roy Scheider as well. Um, but he's but And also, especially, I also like him as Lex Luthor in the original Superman film as well. He's been an outstanding actor. In this film, um, in this thriller film, I think it does another good a good performance in this film. And this film is Narrow Margin, and also starring Gene Hackman, also starring Ann Archer, and both of these actresses they do a good job in the film. And also, what I also like about this film is that it's directed by Peter Hyams. Now, Peter Hyams, I love him as a director. I think he's also like a unique director. He can direct all sorts of. He directed films of a little bit different genres. He directed some science fiction films, directed this film of thriller, and horror films as well, and comedies. Um, and majority of his films I do enjoy. Stay Tuned with John Ritter, Running Scared with Billy Crystal, um, as action films as well. Jean-Claude Van Damme films like Time Cop. I love Time Cop. Sudden Death. I also enjoy the sequel to 2010, the year we made contact, the sequel to 2001: A Space Odyssey. He directed the sequel. I enjoy that film. Directed two horror films that I absolutely love to death, and that is The Relic. I absolutely love The Relic, and End of Days, with an underrated performance by Arnold Schwarzenegger, him versus the Devil. Um, and he also directed this film, which I think is a really underrated thriller, though, that a lot of people don't talk about as much. Then of course there's like a few films, like especially like A Sound of Thunder, or some Sound of Thunder, which is interesting story though, but of course the problems with the money problems though, and with a huge flop though, and the horrible piss poor special effects of the creatures. Well, again, interesting idea though, but it could have worked, but the film overall was a disappointment though. So yes, he directed that film. The Musketeer. I haven't seen that film in a while, so I have to give that film a relook. I haven't seen that new film, the recent one he directed, Enemies Closer, also starring once again with Jean-Claude Van Damme. I haven't seen that film though, but majority of the films that Peter Hyams has directed, I do enjoy, because I like this guy as a director. I think I put him like one of my top five favorite directors. I was like, he's a unique director. I was like, he can direct different genres of films. He directed, like I said, comedies, action, science fiction, horror, you know, and even thrillers like this film. Especially also another thriller he directed was a film with Michael Douglas called Beyond a Reasonable Doubt, which I'm kind of also about it. But that's another thriller he also directed though. But but the majority of also one thing before I get into the story, that majority of like a Peter Hyams films don't do well at the box office, which I don't get. Like majority of his films are not that big of hits, which I don't understand. Like the most successful film was End of Days, which made 211 million worldwide, you know. But that's but domestically films that mostly made domestically were not a big hit. Well, the only other big hit they also did was Time Cop with Jean-Claude Van Damme. I also really love that film. So End of Days and Time Cop were the only two big hits he's ever directed, you know. But that's just too bad though. Majority of films were not that big hits. That's sad, you know, because Peter Hyams, I love him as a director. You know, he's directed great films, and this is another good a thriller film that he directed. You know, and like I said, Gene Hackman and Anne Archer, they were good. Both did a great job in this film. Of course, got mixed reception as well. It's also like a loose remake of a 19 what was it 19 it was a 19, I think it was a 1950s film called The Narrow Margin. Not just Narrow Margin, but added the first sentence, like the Narrow Margin. But this one, got a mixed reception. It has a 58% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it has a 6.5 on IMDb. I think it's decent enough, but I think it could have been more higher, you know. It also came out in 1990 and made like $10 million in the U.S. and that's it. Just too bad. No special features, just a trailer and that's it. But getting to the story, it starts off with opens up with Anne Archer, of course. Anne Archer, she was most famous in this the film Fatal Attraction. She was nominated for an Academy Award for that. Also starring in other films like the sequels to the Jack Reacher films like Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger. But she's a woman named what was I forgot what her name was. I forgot what her first name is. I think her name was Carol. I think. Carol. Um, she's on a blind date with a guy played by J.T. Walsh. J.T. Walsh has to make a phone call, so go up to his hotel room as Anne Archer goes to the back room. There's a knock on the door, which opens up, which is a guy he knows who is a mob boss, a guy named Leo Watts, and another guy that's with him, and they have a sit down, they talk, you know, saying that he owes that that J.T. Walsh owed him money, you know, said he was gonna pay him back, you know, and Anne Archer is just listening from the back room, you know, and the other two guys, they don't know that she's there, you know. And as they're about to leave, Leo Watts says, you know, I'm gonna never harm you, but as they walk out, he says, Michael, I lied. And his other partner or other guy pulls out a gun and shoots J.T. Walsh. So she witnesses it, and she's hiding out behind the door, and she doesn't leave the room yet. She waits like about an hour, shows on the clock, and then she finally leaves the room. And that cuts to Gene Hackman's character, who is a deputy district attorney by the name of Caulfield. Him and a detective played by Emmett Walsh, who who appeared in Racing Stripes, as the guy who bets on the races, you know, which I talked about him. So he's in this as a detective. He goes to another an attorney who's having a conference, like how he just enters the room and says, one of the secretaries says, he's at a conference, and Gene Hackman's like, right, goes in anyway. And the guy who's the talking to, I think his name was J.A. Preston. Yeah, he was with J.A. Preston. He was also known, and he played the judge in A Few Good Men. Another guy who was also sitting there by the name of Dahlbeck, you know. So Gene Hackman and Caulfield and the detective, they talked about saying that about the murdering of J.T. Walsh, and said that there was a witness who saw her, because they got information from Anne Harcher's friend, that she stayed there and she saw the whole thing, So she goes and she's hiding out in a cabin in Canada, and they want to bring her back to testify. And say that she'll testify, and she said, yeah, she'll talk, she will. So they head out there because they want to put in the Leo Watson wants a problem because he said that last year that they had him on trial, but they lost the case, so he walked away a free man. So he was not gonna let him get away this time, So him and the detective, they go by helicopter through to Canada, And that's another good thing I liked about the film, because even later on the film, when they're on the train, of course, it's a nice way of showing that the landscape, how the wilderness of Canada looks, Really, that's another good thing. I like the atmosphere, the locations of how they're shooting the wilderness, Nice locations of the wilderness. So they go to the cabin, when they talk to her, she says she doesn't want to go. She knows nothing. She saw nothing, She doesn't want to testify, but Gene Hackman tells her she has to go, but before while they're talking, and so there's gunshots, men that was hired by Leo Watts to hired assassins to shoot her from who was also shooting from the helicopter, which they kill Detective M. Walsh, he dies. When Gene Hackman tries to check on him, he's just laying there dead. They take the car keys to the car. The assassins also shoot down the helicopter and kills the pilot as well. So they have a car chase through the woods, off the road into the woods. They head down to the train station. They get the tickets from this elderly couple. So they head onto the train, and there's only two guys. One of the guys was with Leo Watts at the beginning when the guy who shot J.T. Walsh, and another guy played by They don't say the other guy's name. The bearded man who was wearing the white boots. They don't say the guy's name, but the guy's name is Nelson, played by James B. Sickey. I remember seeing him in another Peter Hyams, which I forgot to mention was Outland with Sean Connery. That's another film I forgot to mention. That was I also enjoyed by Peter Hyams, Outland. So I also enjoy Outland as well, and I remember seeing him in there as well. So they also get tickets. They board on the train, and that's when they get the suspensions of the whole thing that's on this train, which I do like, So pretty much the whole film, they keep on moving from compartment to compartment, trying to trying to protect her, trying to keep her safe, and when they're trying to keep her safe, next, like where they're talking, like when during the middle of the night, when it comes to nighttime, Gene Hackman gets out and makes a phone call to the guy Dahlback who was talking with with the J.A. Preston, He tells him about what happened, the detective's dead, the pilot's dead, and the guy said he'll have somebody out there meet him on the next stop, so he does. So he gets back on the train, and while they're trying to avoid the two men, and Archer keeps on saying, I'm gonna get off the next stop, and Gene Hackman says no. Look around you. There's nothing but wilderness. You won't get out very far. These guys are gonna kill you no matter what if you do or don't know, because they got automatic weapons. And there's another one was saying where they're just sitting there, having a conversation, and Gene Hackman's telling about he's grieving over the deaths of the detective and the pilot, saying that about the detective's like jerk, only 2 years away from retirement. And so there'll be a funeral for the detective, flag and all, and another funeral for the pilot, you know. And the two guys, he can only charge like the two guys like can only charge him for running on the train, you know, because he never saw them with who they looked like, you know, and then they'll if you testify them to court, they're gonna walk, you know, they'll get away with murder, you know. So and then by the next stop, you know, there are two guys out the stand at the waiting, so he tells them to stay on the train still as he goes out there to talk to them, saying that they have the woman on there, you know. Or like one other thing I forgot to mention that I thought was a funny thing that got like as soon as they get on the train, you know, it's like when he tells Ann Archer, you know, like well there's two things going for us. One, they they've seen me, but they might not have seen you, you know, but they definitely have seen me. And two, well, we have one thing going for us, you know. Yeah, Gene Hackman, he did a good job, you know. So he goes out there to the two guys, you know, and he's like, I like this little bit here. Like he's talking to them, he's like, I got the woman on a possible 314, you know, and the other guy's like, well, we can't have that, you know. 314s can be well, I forgot what the 314s are. I forgot what that line says. So like either like bad or something like that, you know. Well, or something. We can't have 314, something like that. So he says he's gonna go to the bathroom. So he goes in the restroom. The two guys are waiting. So one of the guys goes in. He sees as he looks in the stall, he sees it in the stalls. But as he kicks it in, he sees nothing but the pants and the shoes there. And so Gene Hackman knew that these guys aren't cops, you know. And he's like, you shithead, you know. A 314 is indecent exposure. You're not cops, you know. Who sent you? And the guy's like, fuck you, you know. That's like how we fooled them with that 314 thing, you know. Because the guy, so he suspected these guys were cops, and he was right, you know. So I like that moment with what we did with the 314 thing, you know. So it gets a little struggle, you know, when the other guy starts shooting, and he runs through a window, you know, and heads into the woods. And the other guys on the train, they come out there, but as the train starts leaving, the two guys get back on the train, and Gene Hackman almost doesn't get back on the train, but he does though. And also there's moving on. There's a scene where as he gets back on the train, he has a sit down conversation with the two assassins, you know. The guy James Sicky tells him that he wants to propose him a deal, you know. We'll just point to where the woman is, and you can just look the other way. And Gene Hackman says, like, what woman? I don't know what you're talking about. What woman? It's like, you lost your briefcase, and now you lost this woman, you know. But the guys know they have her, that he has her, you know. He proposes to her, tries to offer him a deal, you know. But of course he declines, you know. And he's like, how he talks about to the guys, like, I don't like men like you, especially I don't like men like your boss, you know. When he tells them when he gets to the like to when how he would like to see how Leo Watts in the courtroom, you know, see how he straightens out his collar, you know. The pay is not so good, but the air will be cleaner, you know. So that was like a decent conversation between him and the assassins, you know. But he declines the deal, of course, you know, and they hold out until the next morning, which is heading towards Vancouver, because they said they weren't going to get there until the next morning. So it comes to the next morning, you know, he goes to the diner car, has a conversation with a woman that he talked to her earlier during that night, you know, a blonde woman, and so the two guys see them, and takes the woman with him, you know, and there's another heavyset guy who's been watching him, you know, because he thinks he's acting suspicious, you know, and he's a railway cop, you know. Takes her to his compartment and asks to try to call for help, you know. So he takes Ann Archer to the guy's room, and as they open the door, they find the guy dead. And the woman's not there, saying that the guys must have taken her, you know. thinking that she was Ann Archer, you know. So, but now the guys see them, you know, and Gene Hackman has Ann Archer try to climb up on the roof of the train, and and before he takes out like this toy gun because earlier he met with this kid and he wants to help him out, you know, it's like kind of like deputize him to his assistant, you know, to give him the toy, and he gives him the toy gun, which is a water pistol. Um, he takes the guy, has the guy, you know, and grabs the other guy, and he's like, a toy gun, ha 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 ha, you know. But they like sort of just like try to get that on the gun though, and Gene Hackman grabs like this red thing, you know. It's not like a fire, it's not like an extinguisher, it's some kind of red thing off of the wall, and he knocks the guy out of the train, falls onto the ground, you know. So he goes out, so he climbs onto the roof, and the other guy, James Sicking, takes out his gun and starts shooting at them, you know. And as soon as he ducks down from them because they're going through a tunnel, he sees that they're gone, and he keeps going towards them, but they're off the side though. So Gene Hackman climbs back up, and that was another good like a struggle of both of them on the roof of the train. You know, they're struggling, you know, grabbing each other, and at one point they're both of them are hanging off the side, and Gene Hackman's holding onto the guy's leg, hanging off from the side of the train, you know. So until they get back, they come back on the roof. There's a car like that has like this see-through glass roof, you know, and people see him, they scamper off, you know. The guy's like slamming Gene Hackman against the glass. But eventually, Gene Hackman throws the guy off the train, you know. And I think they're safe, but turns out the woman, the other woman, has the gun, so I think that she killed the. I think that she killed the railway. I think she killed the railway cop, and she took his gun. So she's also working for she's also an assassin. He's thinking, I don't want you, just her. You should have taken the money, you know. And it's approaching towards the tunnel, you know, a low tunnel, and he's like, you know what I liked about you? You're tall. So they duck down now. Now this is what I thought this thing like how the woman hits the tunnel. It was kind of like how do I say it? It's like an iffy thing, like how the woman just before how she if I freeze frame there, she slowly goes about to hit the tunnel, like the image of her just cuts out of the picture, you know, before hitting the roof of the tunnel, you know. I thought like that scene, like how she well, there's no blood or anything. There's no blood or anything. She doesn't splatter her brains against the tunnel. No, it's like as soon as he has this is the woman, and it goes towards the tunnel and just like cuts away before it hits the tunnel, you know. If you freeze frame it, you know. But that was like, yeah, you know, that was like kind of an iffy thing. You shouldn't, you know. But other than that though, but you get the idea, you know, how she gets her head bashed by the tunnel though, but still. So they're now they're all safe, and he calls J. Preston, you know, but notify about what happened, you know. So because they're back in Los Angeles, and she's testifying in the witness box, and she points out to Leo Watts that he's the one who did it, you know. And I like when Gene Hackman is like, no, like after says no further questions, you know, he sits down and looks at Leo Watts, just like he's straightening his collar, like he said earlier, you know, and he's like, and Gene Hackman's all smiling about it and mock him like this, is doing the same thing, you know. And he looks at Ann Archer smiling, you know, they got the job done, you know, and that's it. So yeah, I enjoy Narrow Margin. I think it was a good a suspenseful film that nobody doesn't seem to talk about a lot, you know, but like pretty much a Gene Hackman film to be forgotten though. I'm sure some people have heard of the film, but not just a majority of people probably have not seen or heard of this one, you know, because made very little money, you know, and this is too bad. This is too bad though. But I enjoy Narrow Margin. It was a good suspenseful film, you know. Gene Hackman doing his best trying to protect Ann Archer, you know, from the assassins, to lock this mob boss away, you know, to testify, you know. Gene Hackman did a really good job, you know, and Anne Archer, she does a good job as well. Um, although looking up on a review by Roger Ebert, and don't get me wrong, I like Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel, I would agree and disagree on some of the things they say though, but I do like how they describe how the way they describe a film, whether it's a good or a bad film, I like how they talk about films, And but I disagree what Roger Ebert said. Looking up, that says that Roger is saying it's a clumsy version of the Idiot plot, dressed up as a high gloss chase thriller. Like I said, I would disagree on that, but what Roger Ebert said. Siskel, even Gene Siskel didn't care for the film, which is too bad though. But I do respect their opinions though, because I like how they describe a film. How if it's a good film or a bad film. I do like the way how they describe films. And but I have to disagree because I enjoy Narrow Margin. So Peter Hyams did a good job directing. He knows how to show the way how to direct up different genres. Like I said, comedies, action, sci-fi, science fiction, thrillers, horror films. He knows how to direct on a different variety of genres. He did a good job. Another good film directed by Peter Hyams, and I enjoy him as a director. He did a really good job directing. The film is on for let's see, I'm looking up. The film was on for like about 99 minutes, but it goes at a good pace. It didn't drag on. I didn't mind the score by Bruce Brighton. I've heard the guy's name. He did some scores in some films, that I've seen though, but I can't remember what films though. But as of right now though, but I've heard the guy's name though. Didn't mind the score. Like I said, Gene Hackman did a really good job. Anne Archer did a really good job. The guy who's the lead assassin with the white boots, played by James Sicking, he did a good job as well. Like I said, I did like him having that conversation with him and Gene Hackman. Well, I like that bit of that struggle bit on top of the train. Like I said, they showing the atmosphere of the wilderness in Canada looked really good. Like I said, Gene Hackman doing his best, trying to protect Anne Archer. That some of the lines of dialogue that Gene Hackman says, I do like. Like I said, the one thing, like the two things, you might see me, they see me, but they might have seen you. That line. I do like that line with the two phony cops. It's like with a 314. Shithead. A 314 is indecent exposure. You're not cops. I do like that line. I like how he just runs through that window, that bathroom window. I do enjoy the film. The thing is, like another underrated thriller, especially with a film that stars Gene Hackman, because he's a really great actor, a fantastic actor, and I like one of my favorite performances by Gene Hackman, because he's worthwhile watching in the film, and Anne Archer does a good job. I've always liked to watch films with Gene Hackman because he's such an outstanding actor, So yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's my review for Narrow Margin. If you haven't seen the film, go check it out for yourselves. If you haven't heard of the film, I would still advise to check it out. And if you're a fan of Peter Hyams films, you will I would think you would like this film. If anyone who's a fan of Peter Hyams. As I said, I enjoy a majority of his films. I think he's a unique director, and I'll put this definitely on my list of top 5 list of favorite directors. This is how the guy has a way of have unique ways of directing films, So yeah, and I'll probably like to do a video of my top like my top 5, I think, or so favorite films by Peter Hyams. You know, he hasn't directed like 30 films though, but he directed like a few, like about 15 films. So I'll probably one day do like a top 5 or 6, you know, give or take, you know, my favorite films from Peter Hyams, you know, because I like him as a director. I think he deserves I think he deserves to do a video like that for me contributing to one of my favorite directors, you know. So yeah, that's my review for Narrow Margin. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next movie review. And like I said, you haven't seen Narrow Margin, go check it out for yourself, you know. So, later.